question from Todd. What was the Gen Z dollar amount they influence?
Yes, 600 billion in family spending, billion with a B.
Mm-hmm. And that's with their combined family spending with the Gen Xs. So they alone have 43 billion just all by themselves. But because there is such a direct link in how those family decisions are made now, it's much more collaborative. Whereas back in the day, your dad's like, we're going to the circus, and like that's what you're doing. This now is, no, it's much more of this collaboration of what are we going to do. So Elaine, I'm glad you like that one. So let's pop back, and thank you for that, Rebecca. Feel free to interject those as we hit. So we'll be happy to do that. So again, we are in this great time now, and we've started to set the stage for this towards the end of last year, but now we're starting to see the thawing kind of take place within our market. And so I really want you guys to look at this of, this is our opportunity to relaunch, even if it's the same attractions and it's everything else, like as folks are coming back in and consumer confidences are shifting to be more comfortable, spending more time and more frequency. This is a wonderful way for you guys to, just again, really lock on and refocus some of these efforts. So, the saying is, where focus goes, energy flows. And so you guys need to be focusing on what this relaunch is going to look like and what the strategies are going to be for that, as well as tailoring some of your experiences that are going on. So again, you have the ability to tailor this first impression with your guests as they're coming back in. A lot of that is going to come down to very kind of consistent vision of what your social media marketing and messaging is going to look like, what post is geared towards your primary demographics, which posts are geared towards secondary demographics. It's not just, well, we're sending this to everyone. Like, you're not doing PSAs or office memos that nobody's going to read. You are crafting very specific measurements or a messaging rather that are tailored with either keywords or calls to action that will resonate with these groups. And so that's why that first part where we're talking about what motivates the base layer, the foundational elements of these different groups. And again, there is nuance. So don't feel like we're painting with an overly broad brush. I mean, everybody has those influences that change that. But again, it's just, are we being more intentional and specific about the messaging that we're crafting? What persona type or demographic type am I actually crafting this for? And is this the right method and message for it? And so we'll talk about some of the early adopters and majority and laggers as we get into what we're seeing as far as industry trends with regards to intent to spend. And so this was a piece that was done by McKinsey & Company survey. They originally did one in April. They updated it in June and October, and then again recently. And so one of the post webinar links that we'll do is a link to this survey, just because it was so well done. And they collaborated across the board. So one of the big things that you do see is that you have a small percentage, 1/5 or 19% that is only going to be resuming normal activities once there is a vaccine or treatment. And the clarifier to that is that once that has been dispersed through the majority of the population. So once that's had a chance to take success. You have an equal group that is, okay, well, once the government restrictions lift, I'm okay with being out there as long as I'm taking, kind of reasonable precautions. And then here you have government restrictions, and I'm also seeing either medical authorities deeming this safe, stores and restaurants are still taking additional safety measures, and you see other people returning. So this is a nice kind of breakdown as far as where folks can be. I think it's very encouraging that we are still seeing, again, like the smallest group is this one where there is only a vaccine, so you're not totally dependent. Those are going to be your laggers, right? Those are going to be your very conservative folks that are going to come late to the party because they just are much more risk averse. You have your kind of early adopters that are like, once the government gets out of my way on this, I'm going and playing big buck hunter for days. And then you have these other folks that are kind of in between, and it makes sense, right? It fits that kind of typical bell curve that we would expect to see, that you have kind of the first stage of the main bell curve that are really doing this based on either the medical authorities are deeming it safe, or I'm seeing, reasonable precautions being taken. So you're seeing that standard bell curve of adoption being broken down here in this pie chart kind of very nicely and consistently.
One thing I'd like to add to that is when you think about the early adopters, you want them to be, after they visit your center, your brand champions, because the amount of influence they can have on word of mouth marketing or posting on social media is very powerful. So if you can find ways of these early adopters, the first customers that are coming in your door, and encouraging them to post about it on social media, share with their friends, tell other people, that will go a long way as well, because you can see a chunk of those majority is waiting to see if other people are returning. And if they can see, oh, my friend says it was safe, so I think maybe it's safe for us too. That's going to go a long way as well.
For sure.